Okay, class, I believe we have to start doing this problem number 2. We already done problem number 1. Let's do problem number 2 for the graph. I think I don't have to. Okay, just let me do it from here. Okay, let's do this one. So the question was, find the piecewise define of each function. I mean, define of each graph, I should say, but it's fine. Okay, find the piecewise function. Now, you see here, this side is -1, okay? And here also is 1, and here is -1, and here is 2 extra. That's the way you have to look at things, okay? Now, you have two sides. You have from 1, okay, let's start from 1, from -1 to infinity. So what does it mean? Why -1 is close? -1 is close because of the solid circle. Okay? -1 is close because of the solid circle. You see, you have a solid circle here. Here is solid circle. That's why is -1 belong to the interval. This one is open circle, this side. That's why the -1 this side is excluded. But since here you have a solid circle, that's why I put the bracket here. The bracket means -1 is belongs. Or you can write down like this, x. Or you can write down like this, for, let me change it here, is 4. Or for x is inside -1 and infinity. Or you can write down x is between, x is greater, mean x is greater or equal to -1. That's the meaning. This one is good, or this one is good. Okay? For x is between -1 and infinity, mean only this one. We care about this one, only this one. Think about this one. And remember, again, here is solid circle. Solid circle mean it belong, the -1 belong on this side. Okay, you have for all x is greater or equal to -1. So, sorry, here is not -1, but is 1. Be careful. Here is not -1 because is 1. -1 is right here. Be careful. -1 is this side, okay? So here, now, what do you get? You know we have a strict line, and the strict line is a linear function. And remember in class I told you about the formula for the linear function is y minus y naught is equal to 8, or you can call it m, which is a slope, m, x minus x naught, with m is a slope, okay? And x naught and y naught is just a choosing point belong to the line. Sometimes it's an initial point, it doesn't matter. Okay, you can choose any point on the line. So now, how you can, first of all, you have to find the slope. Find the slope. Let's find the slope. How you can find the slope? You have to choose 2 points. We already have 2 points here. We already have that point, which is this point, which is 1 and 2. And the second point, which is 2 here and 3. And we have this one and this one. And now we can easily find the slope. And the way you find the slope is just y, 3 minus 2 divided by 2 minus 1. And when you get here, we have 1 over 1 is just 1. Here the slope is just 1, okay? And here we have the slope equal to 1. So now we will have y minus y naught is equal to 1 times x minus x naught. Or you can just write down, since it's just 1 here, you can just write down x minus x naught. Everybody get it? Good. Now, you can choose either point is fine. You can choose either point is fine. Okay, you can choose that point if you want. You can choose a x naught and 2 and y naught be just like 1 and 2. Okay, so you will have y minus 2 is equal to x minus 1, and that's it. And now you can move this one out. You have y is equal to x minus 1 plus 2, and then y is equal to x plus 1. This one is called okay, this one, look at here. This one is the equation of that line. Okay, this one is the equation of this one. Got it? Let me raise it here again. This one, the equation we found is the equation of the graph. For now. Okay? That equation is the equation for that graph. And that graph, if you check the graph, that equation is the equation of the graph. But if you check that graph starts from 1 to infinity. Why is infinity? Because you have an arrow here. Good. Let's move on to the next. Now we have the first one. Let me circle it in red. Okay, the second one now is from, think about the second one. The second one, if you check the second one, is still from 1 to infinity. Why is infinity? Because you have an arrow. But the problem here is you have open circle. Be careful. An open circle mean is from 1 is from negative infinity, which is exclude, and 1 is exclude. Why? Because you have an open circle. Or you can just say x is between, x is less than, strictly is not equal sign because 1 is exclude. X is strictly less than 1. What does it mean? Mean x is between, x belong to the interval negative infinity and 1. That's the meaning. That's the meaning for that one. That one is just a domain for this one. This one or this one, either way it will work. Okay. Now we have the second one. We have this one was the first one, by the way. Okay, this one was the first one. Now the second one is if x is inside that interval, which is on negative infinity and 1 is exclude, or you can just write down like this: x is less than 1, strictly less than 1, strictly. Okay, now if x is less than 1, what's the graph it looks? What's the given graph? The given graph is this one. So now how you can determine the function for this one? So if you look at the graph carefully, you have to choose some points here. Okay, it's not easy to, no, it's easy to see. You can choose just some points. Look at this. You can choose some points here. You can have look at that point. For example, you have a 1, -1 and 1, and -1 and -1. Okay, you have that point, which is -1 and 1. If you choose that point, mean x is equal to -1. Then what do you get? You have -1 to the 1/3 is equal to square cubic of -1, which is -1. And you end up having -1, which is this one. Okay? Got it? Good. Now the second one you have a -8 and -2. If you look at this one, you have x and y. So you have here x. X is this one. X is -8. So now if you think about x is -8, what do you get if you have this one? You have x is -8. negative 8 to the 1 over 3, which is square cubic of 8, of negative 8. What does it mean? You know something. What do you know? You know 8 is just 2 times 2 times 2, which is 2 to the third. Okay? With the negative sign, negative will be positive, and you have one left negative. That's why you have a negative sign here. And here is negative. Got it? Here is negative, here is positive. Good. Now you have this one, and here is just negative 2 to the third. 1 over 3. And here is 3. And here you will have negative 2 to the 3 over 3, which is just negative 2. That's why you have a negative 2 here. That's why you have a negative 2 here. Got it? And here, remember, this one is x, and this one is just y. And the y is just fx, and fx is this one, in negative 2. Extra, any point you pick here, you can just take it out for x and take the square cubic, and you will get the y, the fx. And then you can just conclude directly that, let me raise here, I don't have no space. You can just conclude here for x is strictly less than 1 this side. So you will have fx is just square cubic of x. That's it. You can verify if you want. You will always have the next one. Square cubic of negative 1 is negative 1. Square cubic of negative 2, no, of negative 8, you will have a negative 2. Okay? You can check it if you want. So then for our piecewise function, that question was to find the piecewise function here. That was our main question, the piecewise function. Then since we have this one and this one, since we have two of them, this one and this one with x is less than this one. So then you have the piecewise function, which is, look, fx is equal to square cubic of x. Okay, make sure you put the 3 here. Let me raise here quick. Okay, you will have this square cubic of x if x is strictly less than 1. Of course, it's this one. Okay, and the next one is y is equal to, and y is just fx, remember. And the next one is just x plus 1 if x is greater or equal to 1. That's it. And you have this one. That was the question they ask. Now to find the domain and the range is just this. I don't think so. If you will have some space, just let me define the domain as a D. Okay, let me define the domain as a D and the range as a R. Okay, if you have the domain and the range, make sure you put a dot. It's not equal sign, put the 2 dot. The domain is the x-axis. If you check the x-axis, since here is all closed and open, then f1 exists. So then the domain is all real numbers. It's negative infinity and infinity. Okay? The range is a problem. Be careful. The range, if you check the range, if you look at the x-axis, and here you will have, what you have here, 1. Okay? Here you have 1 on this side to infinity. 1 to negative infinity. You see, 1 to negative infinity, the function is look like this. Okay? Then it's 1 to negative infinity, but here 1 is excluded. You got it? So here the range is negative infinity and 1 is excluded. And then take the union and stop there. So now let's check the next one. The next one here is close solid circle, and you have up, and here is infinity, and we start from 2, then it's 2 to infinity with 2 is close. Why? Because you have a solid circle here. So it will be, the range, it will be 2 to infinity, and that's it. That's the domain and that's the range. Okay, just take a look and take your time, and if you have any question, just email me. Okay, good. Now let's move to the next one, which is the B. Let's move to the next one, B, this one. Same thing, they ask you the domain and the range, and this one is a most easy one because if you look at this side, if x is negative, for example, if x is negative, since here x is negative this side and you have a solid, then is equal sign to -1. If x is less, no, is negative, just let's put it at a negative sign. If x is negative or equal to 1, because you have a solid here, because you have a solid circle here, that's why you have equal sign here, okay? That's why you have equal sign, because of this one, you have a solid, okay? So now if x is equal to -1, no, less, if x is negative, then for you have fx, the function fx is equal to -1. If x is this side, if x is negative sign, then you have a -1, of course. Now, if x is positive strictly, so what do you get? If x is positive, be careful, because you have a solid, because you have here, because you have a solid circle here. No, you have an open circle here, mean is strict. Okay, is strict because of the solid of the open circle here. If it's positive, you have this side. Here is infinity. So what you should have then here, 0 have to be excluded. And then for you have just 1. Fx is equal to 1. That's it. And then fx is equal to 1. Okay? Now, the piecewise function fx is equal to -1 if x is if x is negative, less or equal to 0, is equal to 1 if x is greater strictly to 0. That's it. That's the piecewise function we have to find. Okay. Did they ask you to find the domain range? Yes. Okay. Just let me. I should put domain and the range. Okay. Put the domain and the range. Domain and range. That's fine. Okay. Put the domain and the range. I will ask you, if I have to give you this one on your exam, I will say find the domain and the range. Remember. Okay. Now the domain and the range. The domain and the range. So here the domain is, how you can find the domain. Remember, the domain is always on the x-axis. Check the x-axis and check the graph, how the graph looks. If you check here, it's open and circle, and they belong to the same line and same x-intercept. Then you have just the all real numbers here to the domain. Fx is -infinity to infinity. But the range, be careful. The range is, take the y-axis and you have only 2 points, which is 1 and -1. The range is the set of -1 and 1. That's it. Again, the range is the set of -1 and 1. Okay? Okay, now let's do the next one. And the next one, it was, let me check here. Okay, the next one is this one. Okay, the next one is this one. It's the CB. Okay, this one. I know this one is easy for you. And make sure here you have -1, -2, and you have -3 here. You should have -3 here. And here you should have the point is just -2 and -3. And here the same thing, -3 and -3. Okay. Now, the question was to find the piecewise function. Exactly. The piecewise function, if you check here, it's just a square root of x. So if you check this one, that one is just fx is equal to square root of x, of course. Why? Because if x is equal to 4, y is equal to 2, of course. If x, look at here, f4 is just square root of 4 and you have 2. That's why you have that point, 4 and 2. Got it? Now, that point also same thing. If x is equal to 1, you have a square root of 1, which is 1. That's why you have 1 and 1. Got it? That's the way you have to look at how the function looks. And now the function is just this one for this one. Now for this one, if x is greater or equal to 0, you have fx is equal to square root of x. Of course, have to be equal. Why? Because you have open circle. No, you have a solid. You have a solid circle here because you have a solid circle here. Okay, that's why you have equal sign here. Got it? So the next one is here. The next one is a strict line. It's this one. That's the next one. Okay, and here you have 0 is excluded if x is strictly negative. Okay, so what you got the function? You will have y minus y0 is because it's a strict line. It's just y. It's just a constant. It has to be a constant number. So how you can find the constant there? Be careful. So you will have y is equal to -1 over a m a x minus x naught if you want. Okay, but it's easy to tell directly how the y will looks. Easy to tell, very easy to tell. Okay, if you want you can find the m, but you can tell the m have to be 0, of course. Okay, the m will be 0. The m will be 0 because it's a horizontal line, and the horizontal line, the slope is 0. Okay, again, the horizontal line, the slope is 0. M is 0, so you have y minus y naught is equal to 0. Then y is equal to y naught. Check y naught. Y naught is just -3. That's it. Okay, now the function here, the piecewise function will looks exactly fx is equal to, remember, is equal to square root of x if x is greater or equal to 0, is equal to -3 if x is negative strictly, and that's it. Got it? Now to find the domain and the range. Okay, the domain and the range. I will ask you this. Be careful. Even I didn't put it here, I will ask you this on your exam. Okay, the domain and the range. The domain, check the all x-axis. If you check the domain is -infinity and 0. Union 0 to infinity. Then for the domain is just all real numbers. Okay, now the range, be careful. The range, take the y-axis. The range, you have first the set of y, which is -3, okay, and the x-axis, but the -3 here on the y-axis is excluded, and you have 0 to infinity. Okay, I will ask you this on your exam. Think about it. It's a beautiful one. Why? Because here is open. Okay, If you can find it, I will tell you. Why? Because here is open circle. And remember, I did the one is closed circle, but here is open circle. Open circle means that point is excluded. Can we have a set on that point? Yes or no on the for the range? I'll let you think about it. If not, I will tell you. Okay? I will give you until Saturday, tomorrow. If you can't find it, that's fine. I will let you know. Good. And now let's do the next one. The next one is this one. This one will be the same thing. And you have to find the x and y. And here is open, here is closed. Be careful. That point also belongs. And you have the range and okay, here. Fx is, if you check here how the piecewise function will looks. And you have fx is equal to what and what. If fx is equal to 1, what do you have for x? X is equal to 1. Can fx is equal to 1? And what do you have for x? And fx is equal to 0. And what do you have for 0? Of course, f0 is equal to 0. Of course. But fx is equal to 0, which is right, because you have a solid circle here. Okay, this one is solid. This one is a solid circle here. Because you have a solid circle here, that's why this one does make sense. This one, it does exist. Okay, now the domain and the range here, if you check the domain and the range here, that's what the question, that's the same question I was asking you about the previous one, about this C, about this one. Okay. I will tell you this. I will bring this one on your exam. This one is a great question. This one, it will be on your exam. Just think about it, okay? This one and this one. And this one. And this one. I want you to think about it, okay? Very good. Let's move on question number 3. Piecewise function for question number 3. Let me do another video. I think it's a long one. Okay.